The muscle rub was cool against her skin, a stark contrast to the heat of his calloused thumb as it stroked, with an unnerving gentleness, over the ugly, purple bruise marring her arm. Karis Elliot lay perfectly still, a statue carved from fear on their lumpy mattress. His touch, meant to soothe, felt like a brand. Did I do this? Dalton Bryant's voice was a low rumble in the suffocating silence of their bedroom, rough like gravel. She flinched, a barely perceptible tremor. The question was a trap, and she had no safe answer. Her silence was its own reply, heavy with everything she was too terrified to say. How could she explain that the deepest pain wasn't from the marks he could see, but from the terrifying, clumsy force of their nights together, a ritual that felt less like love and more like a punishment she didn't understand? He sighed, a sound of pure, gut-wrenching weariness. The cap clicked shut on the cheap tube of muscle rub. He moved away, the springs of the old bed, groaning their protest, leaving her alone in the cold space he vacated. Sleep was a luxury she couldn't afford. Her mind was a raging storm, and at its center was a single, terrifying word: divorce. As she stared into the oppressive darkness, a thought, cold and sharp as a shard of glass, pierced through her fear. What if he found out she was planning to leave him? What would those calloused hands do then? The divorce papers, tucked inside her worn copy of The Grapes of Wrath, felt like a lead, weight in her soul. For a week, they had been her secret talisman, a tangible promise of escape from the quiet terror of her marriage to Dalton Bryant. Her best friend, Shayla Fletcher, had been her rock, her confidant. He's a monster, Karis, Shayla had whispered, her eyes full of righteous fury as she examined a fresh bruise on Karis's shoulder. You have to leave him before it's too late. Shayla had made it sound so simple. A clean break, a new life far from the suffocating dust of Hemlock Creek, a forgotten town that Hope had long since abandoned. But now, sitting at the small kitchen table, staring into the black depths of her coffee, simplicity felt like a distant dream. Fear was a constant, bitter taste in her mouth. The screen door creaked open, and Shayla breezed in, a bright splash of color in the drabness of the Bryant's kitchen. She was all sunshine and sweet smiles, a walking contradiction to the town's grim reality. Hey, you, she chirped, her gaze immediately landing on Karis's tense shoulders. So, have you told him yet? Karis gripped her mug, the ceramic cool against her trembling fingers. She looked at Shayla's eager, perfectly painted face. Not yet, she mumbled. It's not that easy, Shayla. If I leave him, where do I go? Shayla's eyes, bright and guileless, did a quick, almost imperceptible flick around the room before settling back on Karis, a flicker of something. Calculation. Karis shook her head, trying to dismiss it. It had to be a trick of the light. Don't you worry about that, Shayla said, pulling up a chair and leaning in conspiratorially. I've got your back, always. She reached across the table and squeezed Karis's hand. Her skin was soft, her touch gentle, nothing like Dalton's rough, calloused grip. I told you about my cousin, right? The one who struck it rich down south. He's got a textile mill. They were going to give me a job, but you need it more. It's your ticket out of here. The moment those divorce papers are signed, you can be on a bus. I've even got the letter of introduction ready for you. A textile mill, a new life. It was the promise Shayla had been dangling for weeks, the light at the end of Karis's dark tunnel. But as she was about to grasp onto that hope, a flicker of something impossible happened. Faint, shimmering words began to scroll in her vision, like a phantom news ticker only she could see. A textile mill, more like a sweatshop. She sold you for $100. You signed those papers. You're signing up for 30 years of slave labor. Karis blinked, her heart hammering against her ribs. She squeezed her eyes shut, then opened them again. The text was still there, glowing softly in the air. That evil bitch. She's been jealous of you since you were kids. She just wants to see you broken. Karis's blood ran cold. She stared at Shayla, really stared